So welcome back everybody to hot and sunny Florida, and look at the garden. So we thought we'd give you a little garden tour. Tiffany and I are out here doing some work today, and yeah, look, I can't even get in here because the corn is so big. We'll give you a little tour, and we're doing some picking. It's been producing a lot here lately. Speaking of, looks like Tiffany's over here doing some picking.
Oh yeah.
What do you got going on?
The squash and zucchini is just huge everywhere, so I'm trying to find everything.
Look at this, y'all. So if you only planted 3 squash, 3 zucchini, normally I do an entire bed, but if you plant them and give them room, look at how gigantic these things get. And we have been picking so much of this, we've just been giving it away. We've been giving it to the chickens, to friends, to family, and we've been eating some, but that is only 3 plants right there. Look at how massive it is. Now I did quite a bit of picking yesterday, so I don't know how much you'll get today, but you can take a peek in here. She's getting some squash and zucchini. Hey, take a look at this. I think we showed these a while back, but thank you, Mr. Thomas. He built us 2 of these. Look at that. Handmade and shipped into us as a surprise. Kelley's Farm and Vegetables.
Love it.
I know, that's pretty awesome. We've got some great viewers. So y'all, look at this corn. It is, I don't know, 9 feet tall. We're starting to put ears of corn on everywhere. They're silking out. They're getting fertilized, obviously, naturally. That's what comes up from the tops right here. That's where your pollen falls down. And I don't know if y'all know this, every individual silk right here is actually a little kernel of corn in there. So as y'all can see, we got tomatoes coming on absolutely everywhere. Got some big slicer tomatoes starting to put on in here. The corn is doing awesome. Big corn over there. Squash and zucchini is actually starting to die off a little. We've been picking it for quite a while, but I mean, you can see it's just putting all the way out here several feet away from the center of the plant. And look at the beans. Talk about another success story right here. They are just started putting on. Tiffany is picking these. These are Blue Lake bush beans, one of our favorite. Look at that bed right there. And we purposely put it in this bed because it's up high, easier on your back as you're picking instead of something that's low to the ground. You can see we're just loaded up with beans everywhere in there. This is one of Tiffany's biggest requests, are those Blue Lake bush beans. So how many pickings have you already got of these? They just started, right?
Yeah, so I've already done 1 good picking, and that was like yesterday or the day before. So they're just now putting on, and it'll be a lot over the next few weeks. I mean, we'll probably get like 5-gallon buckets full.
So yeah, you can see what she's doing here, and she's not kidding. There'll be at times we come out here in a day getting several gallons per day. They put on like crazy, and then all of a sudden they just die off like crazy. But look in here, y'all. I mean, look at how many beans are on this single plant. She's got a pile of picking just to do right here off of this one. So they are definitely in, putting on. Again, corn doing awesome over here. Some of these stalks have like 1, 2, 3 ears of corn on them. I don't know if they'll all produce. Our grapes are just taking over the garden. We're starting to get little grapes, individual grapes in there everywhere. There's just gonna be thousands of them. Take a look at that. Need to prune them back heavy this year. Blueberries are pretty much done. We wound up with, you know, hundreds of blueberries this year, which was awesome. A lot of them were big, but they're done for the season. We've got some cantaloupes coming on here. Take a peek in there. We got cantaloupes everywhere. And what you and I are gonna do today, my potato plants are starting to die off. That's a sign that they need to be harvested before the ants get to them or any rot. When I start seeing them dying back, my potatoes did amazing in the dirt this year. I need to get them out of the way. And that's because you see all these watermelon plants coming in. They're starting to get ready to take over the potatoes. So before the vines get any bigger and start growing everywhere, we got to dig all those up today. We got a lot of work ahead of us. Speaking of the watermelons, the deer got out there a few weeks ago. I don't think I've showed that on camera. Ate all my vines back, but it was my fault. I didn't put up my electric fence, and more importantly, I didn't have my motion sprinkler going. I think this works better than even the fence does. So this picks up motion, kicks on at nighttime, and scares the deer out of the garden. Luckily, even though they ate all my plants back down to nothing, there was still a few tiny vines at the center of the plants. They started taking off again, so hopefully they'll produce watermelons. I'm starting to see little blooms and everything else on them, but they're way behind thanks to the deer. And last but not least, we did a few okra plants out here this year. They are just now getting to the point they're blooming. So we'll be cutting okra here before long. Looks like they need a little bit of fertilizer, so we'll take care of that. Okra really likes it hot anyway, so they're always a late grower. Meanwhile, everything else out here is not fond of the heat. All right, let's turn off this electric fence before I get lit up here. Move this over, and we've got enough to dig that I better go get a wheelbarrow. All right, so y'all have seen me struggle in the years past to grow these new potatoes in compost. Compost is just too rich, holds too much moisture, too much nitrogen. None of that is really good for the potatoes. So I did them in the garden this year, and thus far, unless I've got a surprise down here waiting on me, they did extremely well. Look at these beautiful new potatoes. Definitely time to go ahead and pick them. Now I'm already seeing a pile of ants coming out of here, so it's a good thing I went after them when I did. It's definitely time. I probably could have let these grow a little longer, but seeing the presence of all these ants, typically those get all my potatoes. Let's go ahead and get them out. We don't eat a tremendous amount of potatoes anyway, so it's not like I need a whole bunch of them. All right, yeah, look at all these beautiful potatoes coming up and out of here. These did so much better in the sand this year than they did in that compost in the years past. Oh my goodness. Talk about a massive potato. Oh yeah, these things are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And you can see my watermelon vines are creeping in, so time to make some room in the garden. Boy, these things are beautiful this year. Look at this. They just keep coming. Oh yeah. All right, nothing to it but to keep going. Okay, so before I show you my haul of potatoes, the watermelon's been a big struggle this year. I just struggled to get the seeds to germinate. I had to plant these like 3 times, and then when they finally started growing and vining out, like I said, the deer got in here and ate them back to absolutely nothing, but then they started coming back out, so I'm way behind. Hopefully they produce well. So I was just walking up and down all the vines, and look what I found. Even though they got ate back heavily, look at this. Jubilee watermelons, baby Jubilee's coming on. Look right there, another one. Love seeing that. These Jubilees remind me of my childhood. They're such a delicious watermelon, and the seeds don't bother me at all. Now that's all I'm seeing at the moment. I wish I was seeing more melons. I'm hoping that doesn't mean that the getting stunted has kept them from putting on, but I'm just starting to see little buds everywhere. Actually, I see little baby melons in there. This is a crimson sweet down here. You see it starting to flower out everywhere. Look at there, here's a baby watermelon. All right, so it's just way behind. But we've got piles of watermelons coming. I see, oh my goodness, I see 10 or 15 in there. There's no way it can put on all of those. I didn't really record it last year because we went on the carnivore diet, but I had 0 issues last year. I planted a couple rows of watermelons and they did extremely well. I mean, extremely well. So hoping to get some more this year, being that we're gonna eat some fruit in our diet. And yes, I got quite a bit of weeds in my garden. Been a struggle this year to really keep them up. Better not forget to put this electric fence back on. For my friend the deer. You know, as much as I'm feeding them, I should eat some of them this fall. And I've got to come back out here and weed again. Y'all, this is the most invasive weed I've ever seen in my life. I think some of y'all said that might be like a thorny crab apple or something like that, but this weed is almost impossible to kill. I'm gonna burn it back again, then I'm gonna till this bed under. I've pretty much got it killed off everywhere else, but I'm struggling in this bed, and I'm definitely not gonna put no herbicides or anything in there because I wanna grow food in here next year. All right, we better remember to turn this on as well. This is key, y'all, motion sprinkler, that thing works. All right, talk about a score for a relatively short row. I'm extremely pleased with what I got this year. I've never been able to produce potatoes this pretty, this rot-free, and this large in compost. I'm sticking with soil planting for potatoes from here on out. So y'all have seen me do this before. These potatoes are, well, still damp with a little bit of dirt, so I like to pour them out on the ground. Hopefully I don't bruise them up too bad. I like to roll them around in this grass. So when you put your potato up, they're relatively damp coming out of the soil. So I like to put them out here, rub them all around, knock some of that soil off, and let them dry for just a short period. We don't want to be too rough with them and bruise them up, but we don't want to put them up wet either. They'll actually rot on you. And that soil holds a lot of moisture. This is also a good time to find any potentially rotten ones, like that one right there. It's got ant holes through it. No good. The ants were definitely starting to get into some of my potatoes, so I had to dig them up whether I wanted to or not. I also was noticing a lot of potato beetles were starting to get on the leaves and eat my plants up. So even though I could have let these grow quite a bit longer and produced more, I was starting to risk a big bug problem. And I do not like putting pesticides on my crops. I'd rather just go ahead and get this stuff up early. And honestly, we'll never eat all these potatoes. Tiffany and I love new potatoes, but we try to avoid all this starch. So we won't even wind up eating all these. We'll give some away. But I still like to have some every now and then. We hardly ever fry either. We're not big on frying, but sliced new potatoes fried up, oh my goodness, makes the best. Like potato chips or thick fry them, and they're delicious as well. But we'll do it in something like beef tallow to make it healthier for us. But since that's such an expensive way to fry, that's why we rarely do it. All right, so I'll let these air dry for just a few minutes. It won't take long in the sun. I don't want to leave them out here to bake. And then let me show you how we put them up for long-term storage since we don't have a root cellar and we're in super hot Florida. Okay, now that these have dried in the sun for a little bit, what I do is I save cardboard boxes. No shortage of those around here thanks to good old Amazon. And in the bottom of them, I'll layer them with some of this like packing paper. So this keeps them nice and dry, and I try not to overcrowd each box so we get airflow in there. And then I go and store them in our air-conditioned processing room, which only has one window, so there's basically no light in there, and we keep it air-conditioned, nice and cool. So in turn, keeping them in an open-air box where they can't get any moisture on the bottom of them, and they can get air circulation around them, you'd be surprised. They'll actually last for a few months in there, because we're definitely not going to eat all these right now. So as I'm putting them in here, it's another good opportunity to go through and make sure you don't see none with any rotten spots on them. And if I do, we'll toss them. And if I find any that are still somewhat damp, roll around the grass a little more, or I'll put those towards the top so they'll catch the majority of the airflow in that room. See this one? That one's already got a rotten spot in it. Let's get it going. All right, so here we are in my processing room. We got two big boxes of potatoes that we can start picking through. And more importantly, they're directly behind me, behind the camera right here. And this AC is blowing right across them. It's just gonna help keep them cool and dry. All right, y'all been asking for a garden update. We've been harvesting left and right, squash, zucchini, now potatoes. We'll be moving on to other harvest here coming soon. Thanks for watching.